Welcome back, you guys, to Gardening for Your Soul. This is Jess, and I am here to talk to you on this beautiful Sunday about the 6 best veggies to grow in the fall in the southeastern Pennsylvania area. This is the last weekend in August. It's been hot and humid summer. We haven't gotten a lot of rain in this particular area. I am in zone 6B. Roughly, we're right on the line, a little bit of 7A, but mostly 6B. And in this particular area, as I said, there's not a lot of rain. It's been dry. I've had to water my garden a little bit more than I prefer. I usually like to let the natural water come in and do that. But here coming in the fall, hopefully we're going to be able to get a little bit more of the storms. There's some hurricanes coming, hopefully up the coast. That's going to help with that. And what I'd like to be able to do today is, as I said, discuss the vegetables that I like to grow best in the fall to not only help with our nutrition, but also that are frost hardy and be able to help us, grow further into the winter if you don't happen to have either a greenhouse or don't have to happen to have the resources to be able to heat areas of your garden to be able to grow all the way through the winter. So first of all, what I'd like to do is talk to you a little bit about how you determine your particular area. If you're not in the northeastern corridor, the best way for you to determine your particular growing zone, go to the USDA website, usda.com. That you can actually find an interactive map that you can type in your particular zip code, and that will actually give you your growing zone. It'll give you your first frost date. For my zone, I came up 6B. So for my first frost date, it's October 21st. What that does is, as of today, which I believe is August 22nd, that gives me 60 days from today to be able to grow any vegetables until our first frost date. Now, some of the ones I'm going to go over today are frost hardy, as I said. So that is going to allow me to grow probably past those dates. So some of those fall veggies we know aren't going to make it. They're definitely going to wilt. They're going to die back. But these other ones are going to go a little further. But we know we want to make sure that they're at their maturity, so that they are going to have the strength to be able to make it past those frost dates. So that's why it's so important at the end of August here, we get these seeds, the seedlings from the nurseries into the ground. So let's start talking about the seeds that I actually enjoy the most. Now, what I'd like to show you, or actually talk about as I'm going through these seeds, I have 6 different ones, as I said, that I'm going to discuss with you. I have chosen, and the ones that I use the most, the seed companies are from Baker's Creek. I use Hudson Valley and High Mowing. Now, those 3 are from the East Coast. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before, but it is really important to make sure that you're using seed companies that are harvesting seeds from your particular region of the country. The reason that is so important is because your seeds and the crops that are grown in your particular climate. If it's hot, if it's humid, if it deals with certain types of diseases, those seeds are going to be able to deal with your particular climate. If it's grown in, say, if I'm in the Northeast, if it's grown in California and I'm getting a seed from out in the West Coast, it's not going to be able to handle the hot and humid conditions that we have here, because it's not hot and humid generally in a lot of the areas on the West Coast. So I just wanted to explain that as an important thing. I learned that a few years ago. And so when I look for seed companies, not that any of those seed companies out on the West Coast are bad for us, but you want to look for seeds that are generally used in your particular region of the country. Okay, so the Hudson Valley Seed Company, the Baker's Creek, and for High Mowing, these are all on the East Coast. High Mowing is actually in, I believe this is in Vermont. So it is in the higher area of the Northeast. If you're not familiar, these are all organic, non-GMO companies that I use. Okay, the first two that I use from High Mowing is that I'm going to talk about is the Iron Man kale mix that I enjoy, and this one is really nice because it is a mix. It's going to give you your lacinato kale, it's going to give you your green curly kale, your red Russian kale, a nice variety that's going to give you a lot of different types of nutrients in those different kales that you might like, or if you're not familiar with kale, it'll give you a good variety to be able to try the different ones out. The next type that I feel is really important that frost hardy is spinach. Now this one from High Mowing, this is a Corvair spinach, and this one has dark green leaves. They're upright for harvesting. It's high yield potential. You can grow this in the spring or the fall, and it is a good frost hardy type of plant. They will get a little bit larger if you let them go, but these do have a smaller rounded leaf. Some of the other varieties that they have get really large and they're more pointed, so it depends on what your particular preferences are. The next two that I have here, actually I'm going to go over the two different I actually grow two different types of carrots in my garden for the fall. One is from Baker's Creek, and this one, I've never grown this particular variety, and the reason that I'm doing this is that on the Baker's Creek YouTube channel, this was recommended by the girl who does the channel because the ox heart variety is good for soils that have trouble with the fluffiness in their soil, and you end up getting all of these gnarly looking carrots. They never grow quite right. I have that trouble no matter what I've done with my soil over the last couple of years. Added different elements, the sand, the vermiculite, the peat moss, and so forth. I can't get it quite fluffy enough to get the soil to be able to allow these carrots to grow down, to get the long, thin carrots. So I decided to take their advice and get the ox heart because this one actually is real hardy. It really cuts through the soil apparently, and it's kind of stocky and short. So I'm hoping that I get some good success with the ox heart. The other one is from the Hudson Valley Seed Company. This one's called the Dragon Carrot. And first of all, I love their artwork. If you've never seen Hudson Valley, they have amazing artwork on their seed packets. But the Dragon Carrot's really neat because it actually has red carrot, but it's a bright orange on the inside. These carrots are ones that I'm just trying out. They're supposed to be sweet and nice. They do dig down a little bit, and they are going to be long and more narrow. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more success with these. I did do extra sand in the soil to see if I can really get it nice and fluffy and see if I can get some success with those. So all you can do is try. That's what happens with gardening. You just keep trying and trying and trying and different techniques and try to get it to work. If you haven't failed as a gardener, you're not a true gardener. So let's see. So the next two, those are actually just three varieties. So the next two that I have here are from Hudson Creek are the Sugar Daddy Snap Peas. Okay. Now the Sugar Daddy Snap Peas are really sweet, and this is the time, even though it's still hot, they don't always like to germinate really well. These ones in this particular variety are supposed to be really great for trellising, and I don't know if you can see this wire that I have here. I actually have planted them here. This is where they're going to be growing. So I'm going to be growing these Sugar Daddy Snap Peas in this area so that I can try to get a fall crop out of them. So they start growing now so that as it gets cooler, they will really start taking off and growing up the trellises, and by the time probably late September and October comes around, you will really start getting a good harvest from them, and they'll be nice and sweet the way that you want them. The next one are beets. Now, most people talk about your red beets, the Detroit beets, the Bull's Blood beets, I think it's Early Wonder, the red beets. And I really do love red beets. I do plant these. But the one that I want to bring out that most people don't know about or they don't do a lot of are the golden beets. So Baker's Creek does their golden beets. They do have this variety. It's the first time I've ordered from Baker's Creek their golden beets. I used to get it from High Mowing all the time. But these golden beets are super yummy. They are a little more mild, meaning that they're not as earthy as red beets are, so they're not quite as sweet, but they have a really wonderful flavor. The greens are just as beautiful as the red ones are, and really great nutrients, great vitamin C in them, and they're so beautiful when you cut into them. So they're kind of orangey when you pick them out of the garden, and then you slice into them, and they're so golden and yellow looking. They're beautiful. So I want to encourage anybody who's not really grown a lot of beets, or if you've grown always red ones, try some golden beets. They're really wonderful. And the last ones that I'm going to recommend to you guys are onions. Most people grow spring onions, different varieties of onions. I actually choose to grow onions both in the spring and in the fall. Great times. They don't like to germinate a lot at this time in late August. And I'm going to plant them a little bit deeper than you would normally do in the springtime because it is so warm. The ground's a little bit cooler if you plant them a little bit deeper. But what I do, instead of planting seeds, it takes a lot longer for them to germinate, and it's a lot harder to get them to germinate, but I do onion sets. So if you can see here, I do the yellow, sweet yellows, red, and the white. And the onion sets do come up much quicker. They actually grow larger. And you can get a better success if you're not having a lot of success from the seeds. Just my preference. Doesn't mean that it's wrong to grow them from seeds. It's just what I choose to do, especially in the fall because of the shorter growing season that we have. And they will still hold up through the first couple of freezes if you have a light frost. Those are my favorite veggies to grow in the fall. Not the only veggies I grow, but those are the ones I wanted to recommend to you guys. I appreciate the time and the effort that you spent watching this video. And if you liked what I had to say, please like and subscribe my channel. I have a whole lot more that's going to be coming out. I just started out with my channel, so I'd love to see you here and bring my energy and a lot more knowledge that I have. So thanks for hanging out with me, and bless you. Have a wonderful Sunday.